Cody, put your seatbelt on before. Oh, we're live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Five Fingers to the Face podcast. Yes, I'm your host, Rick Ramon. We have a very, very special guest tonight. He is a legend in and of himself. He's the one, the only Jim Star, aka Laser from American Gladiators. Clap it up, boys. I'm appreciating this sketch right now.
Yes.
Thanks,
yes.
Appreciate
Childhood hero.
Yep.
Thanks, Rick.
We have a lot of questions for you tonight, Jim. Again, thank you for joining us. I'm very excited. I'll actually explain, too, in a second why we wanted to have you on tonight as a guest.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, yeah, why? Yeah.
Oh, it'll make sense. Trust me. Rick Ramon's brain's always going. So, with that said, I'm not going to actually ask any of the panelists tonight because I feel like every time I do it, everybody's asleep at their desk. So, here we go, content manager. I'm going to do this one time for you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you need a haircut and you are in the Lancaster, Pennsylvania area, you already know where you need to go. Sparrow Hair Studio. You know who you go see? You go see Lean. That's right. And if you are part of the Clash of Conferences and let her know that you are, you will get a discount. So go ahead. Sparrow Hair Studio, go see Lean. Also, if you are in need of a nice custom 3D print chain, go see Lotland. Once again, they won't make you spell their name. They will take your money and make you a nice chain, though. So if you are trying to get any type of chain made up for yourself, your team, whatever the case may be, Lotland, ladies and gentlemen. We ready, boys?
Thank God you don't have to spell.
Absolutely.
Cody wouldn't be able to use that sponsor anymore.
Jim, we've tried to spell it. I don't know how many times, and we've gotten it wrong every time, and I'm not sure how. It's a statistical anomaly, but here we are. So,
Yeah, thank God this is
Now,
not an education podcast.
Star, you are here tonight for a specific reason. So this is the Five Fingers to the Face podcast, in which we discuss and have guests of multiple varieties and backgrounds, including wrestling, MMA, boxing, bare knuckle, anything that involves combat sports. But when I think of combat sports, there is only one thing that I can think of growing up in the 80s and 90s, and that, sir, is American Gladiators. And that is why you're here tonight. So
nice.
Love us.
I can help you out in some of those questions, I think.
I think you can, yes. So I am going to be a gentleman. I'm going to defer to our panelists here. Cody, you will not be doing anything until you get home and park your car. So everybody but Cody is allowed to ask a question right now.
You're in trouble, Cody.
No, man.
All right. Jim, I got to ask. Laser, I got to ask. It's been on my mind since I saw the episode years ago. There's an episode of American Gladiators where you competed in Hanging Tough. And you probably know what I'm going to ask here, but on Hanging Tough, you jumped on this guy and you started punching him in the shoulder. You hit him in the head. You ended up getting a 10-point added to his score because the ref ruled in his favor.
Yeah.
How was that? Do you remember that episode? Do you remember that incident? That was some crazy stuff that I remember where you just jumped on him, banging on his head, and you both fall to the ground.
Yeah, and I think if the one that I'm thinking of that you just tried to explain was where I accidentally kicked him in. Well, I kicked him in the face trying to grab him, and then when I had him, I said, "Oh my God, I'm sorry. You all right?" And then he said, "Yeah, I'm fine." And then I just kept pulling and just jumping on him and hugging him down. But I got to tell you, that was a fun event, and it was a lot of fun. And that event there was one where you didn't get injured that much. It wasn't, that collision like you saw in Powerball or whatever. But yeah, I remember that. It was good times, a lot of, and it's amazing. The show ended over 30 years ago, and trying to remember some of the contestants. There's a few that stand out, but to me, I was just competing, just wanted to compete. And a few of the contenders we got to know pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we're watching it as kids, just seeing you guys as jacked up as you are on these bars, and then you get to hang with your full weight to yank these guys down.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like every kid's dream to do that. When we're on the playground, it was like, oh my God, I want to do that to somebody right now.
Yeah,
we did that.
That's right. Yeah.
It's frowned upon for us, though. You got to do it and get paid for it. Yeah. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of why the show was so appealing to everybody that started to watch it, because everybody could visualize himself beating a gladiator or doing some sort of competition, whatever event that was. I think we all look at that and then, think, shit, I can do that, right? And I think that's what really sparked the interest in why we had so many people. The last couple of years, let's see, the show ended in 97. And I think from 94 on, we had tryouts in New York, Chicago, and LA. And the one year, which I think was 96, we had in New York alone, there was over 25,000 people in line to try out for that show. It's just truly amazing. And you have to remember back then, Samuel Goldwyn, who owned the rights to the TV show, they never ran commercials. It was all us organically growing, marketing, us going out and doing personal appearances. And we had our own agents and attorneys and things like that. But they never promoted the show. So it was more about word of mouth and growing it externally by organic growing, by just us going out and marketing the show. Boy, if that show would have happened today, like, because right now they are filming the new American Gladiators over in London. And the reason they're over in London, because London, their Gladiator version, they have all the games set up. So they're over there now. They hired the guy from WWE. I can't remember his
The
name.
Miz. Yeah, The Miz.
The Miz.
Yep.
They hired him to be the host. What is so ironic and just so disappointing, and you think they would have learned their lesson by now, and it really upsets myself and the rest of the gladiators that were on the original show. They never asked us to be on this show, not as host, trainers, cameo appearances, and they should have learned their lesson, because when they did the Hulk Hogan show years ago, that bombed. They ruined it. And they did the same thing then. They didn't want any of us coming on the show. And if you think about it, all the people that are, yourselves included, you're watching if you're watching the new American Gladiators on Prime Video, right? That is going to be coming out here pretty soon. All the people that used to watch it are now grandparents or older that have their own kids. Why wouldn't you want to have some of the originals on, so the original audience that was watching could then say, hey,
relatability.
Relatability is there, and they're missing the mark. And it's really, man, none of us understand it. And
they just don't want to pay you guys, do they?
They don't want to pay us. And Johnny Ferraro, who's the owner, he was the creator. He just has something. There's something about Johnny that just he wants to take all of the credibility of the show, as the show was, it launched and the show became popular because of the name. It wasn't because of the gladiators and the games and the contenders. And he truly believes that. And it's just really upsetting. It's like, why wouldn't you? I don't know. He's missing the mark, but that's another story.
Well, that takes my next question off the list of how do you feel about the new version of American Gladiators? I think you answered that pretty good for us.
Yeah, just not good. And if you talk to anybody, I mean, I'm really good friends still with Lori Fetrick, who's Ice, Steve Hannaberry Tower, Dan Clark, Nitro, Ray Hollett, Zap. We're all really good friends today, and we talk all the time. And it's just amazing that we're shaking our heads thinking, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they do the relatability? I mean, you used a perfect word, relatability, because that's what it's about. Because these kids now that are, young kids, teenagers, young 20s, I don't know if they would want to watch the show, but if they had someone else within their family unit saying, oh, you got to watch this show, we used to watch it when we were growing up. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I don't get it, but who knows?
Yeah,
All right,
I agree.
I got a question for you here. So, obviously after the first season, you guys blow up and you kind of go on like your world tour and everything like that. So, favorite city that you went to, and least favorite. I cannot believe we're in this janky ass arena in front of there's a hobo in the hallway doing whatever while I'm trying to warm up. So,
I love it. There's two cities. All the interviews I've ever done, I've never been asked those questions. That's a good one, Patty. So I would have to say, I think the highlight, we did that American Gladiator tour. We were on those big tour buses for 6 months. Started up we started in Maine, and we worked all the way down to Texas, and then we ended up in Seattle. No, we actually went through Seattle. then we ended in Salt Lake. But the highlight was when we were at the Coliseum. What's the famous place in New York with the
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden? That to me, and we all talk about it. It was just cool. The nostalgia of being in Madison Square Garden. It was,
And they don't call it the Mecca, or they call it the Mecca for a reason.
that's right.
You know?
And it was packed. I mean, there was no seats empty. That was pretty cool. That was probably the highlight. And then we went down to Austin. That was just, all of us were single back then, we were just crazy. Like the whole downtown's closed off and we're just partying like rock stars. That was some things happened. Can't talk about it here, but just a lot of fun. It was just so much fun.
That's after dark. That's after dark. After we go off.
Yeah, after hours. But gosh darn, that was fun. Man, oh man, I would have to say that tour for 6 months was probably one of the best times I've ever had in my entire life. It was just all the guys and girls living on one bus. You can imagine all the crap that happened with all that and dancing and just drinking. And, we felt like rock stars and we were all single, all young, just having fun. It was one heck of a time. Man, what a ride.
May I ask, who were you watching the documentary with when your Chippendales dance was put on the screen for the first time?
And I got to tell you, so when the documentary came out, right, so all the gladiators were calling each other going, I wonder what it's going to be, because they always sensationalize these documentaries. They make it more than, because it's for TV, right? Man, they hit the nail on the head, but none of us had ever seen that backstage footage because Lori Fetrick Ice had one of those big ass cameras, video cameras. She had it on her shoulder. She had that footage in storage for 30 years. And when we filmed the show, they were all asking us, hey, do you have pictures? And it was before cell phones. We didn't have cell phones. Thank God, because I'm telling you, they did. Well, I'm telling you, we would all be in trouble. Lori had this footage, and it was the first time I ever saw. I mean, I was dancing on the bus in my skivvies, right? And I'm like, oh my God, that's me. Oh my God, my wife's laughing her ass off. She thought it was hilarious. And thank God she's not a jealous person, but it was just crazy to see that backstage footage of just stuff that, you don't remember it. Right. And as soon as I saw myself dance on the bus, I was like, I remember that night. A lot of stuff happened that night.
So that actually kind of leads me into my next question, which would be, were you more nervous performing in front of 50,000 people or sitting down with Netflix and ESPN for a documentary after
that? Definitely that, for sure. Yeah, it was just crazy. So, yeah, I'll never forget that, the first night, I think it was the second or third night we were on tour and we were near New York, because as soon as we got done with filming, we got done on the Gladiator tour, because they took the whole, God, there was buses after buses with all the equipment, and we all of our shows were in the evening between 7 and 9:30, and then we'd shower, get on a bus, and all of us were on that tour bus, and here comes a bunch of groupies, girls in cars, and it was so cool. I don't know why, you're feeling like you're a rock star, and the girls are flashing us, pulling their shirts up, and we're like, yeah. Just crazy. It was just, there was things that happened on that bus. Oh my gosh. It just,
you guys were rock stars though. You guys were like the coolest thing outside of like football players, basketball players, stuff like that. Like you guys were like relatable for the common guy like us. Like we were like, man, those guys are cool. Like they seem like we could hang out with them.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, signing autographs, myself and Steve Henneberry, we signed a really good contract with Peterson Publishing that did they had the Peterson Publishing trucks and all that. They took his truck, my truck, they redid them for free. There was like $80,000 a piece, and they put us on the cover. And then we went out for 2 years and did autograph signings at all these truck and car shows. Man, that was a highlight. That was so cool. Just almost every weekend signing autographs and nonstop 3 hours, never looking up and just signing autographs. It just pretty cool, you know. And one of the things that Dan Clark, Nitro, said, I did a ESPN 30 for 30 documentary, and in the documentary, he said the one thing that we don't do, as all of us, as human beings, we never take in the moment enough. Like you never, you know what I mean, Rick? Even because you're not in your head, like we don't take in the moment. We're either so young, and I hate to use the word dumb, but probably immature, that we don't take in the moment where we really appreciate it. My daughter a few years ago, I'm kind of running off a stage here with it, but she was getting married, and I walked her down the aisle, and everybody was like, "What are you guys talking about?" So I put my arms around my daughter and I just said, "Just take in the moment. Just from this point on, appreciate every single moment that you have in this wedding because it's going to go by so fast." And she did, and it was pretty special because we don't take in the moments enough. And yeah, it went by so quick, those 8 years, and didn't even know what we were creating. I was just happy to have a job. I got injured with playing ball with the LA Rams, played in the NFL for a while and got hurt. And I was just happy to have a job, being able to, showcase my skill set as an athlete. And I was just happy I didn't care to be on TV. I just cared about being an athlete and getting paid a little bit on the side for it. So.
Well, yeah, it's like that old saying, like, it's kind of cheesy, but if you ever seen The Office, like we always joke around, but they say at the end of it, they say, "Don't you wish you knew you were in the good old times before you left them?"
God, I love that.
Don't you wish you knew that these were the good old times before you're out of them?
And you
So
don't. You don't.
No, exactly. Yeah, that resonates for sure.
I got to tell you, so like all of us being a bunch of guys, I mean, I could see hanging out with you guys. I think some of our most fun times are a bunch of guys getting around a bunch of guys, right? I just went back to Montana. That's where I'm born and raised. My buddy has a fishing trip, fly fishing trip every year, and there's about 10 of us that go, and there's nothing like it. And I've learned in the last several years just to slow down and appreciate the moment because it's pretty, at some point, it's going to be gone, right? And, and it's just, you got to take in those moments. And my wife said it best. We were watching something on TV. I think it was even the NHL, the Stanley Cup now, where the guys are fighting and all that. She said, "How come guys have so much fun?" Like, it's so true, right? Like, guys are like us as guys hanging out with a bunch of guys are just
guys being dudes.
Just being dudes, man. That's at the end of the day. It's all it is. Just guys being guys. I don't care if you're a CEO of a company. At the end of the day, you're just a dude, man. At the end of the day. That's all it is.
I'm sure, Jim, you agree. It's if you talk to, I'm sure, football, any athlete, military, whatever, right? It's when you ask them when they get out, what's the number one thing they miss? It's always the boys.
It's the boys. It's the camaraderie that you built, and I do miss it. That is the one thing where, you try to assimilate that with your work, with companies you work for. It's never the same as when you're with a bunch of guys, if you're wrestling or boxing or football, whatever it is. It's just, man, they're just special times, and you never can replace those. Just crazy, really, when you think about it.
So Jim, let me ask you, right? So when you're trying out, or when you get on the cast of American Gladiators and the names get selected, did you get to select your name, or what's that process look like? And do you wish that you had a different gladiator name looking back on it now?
Yeah, great question. So I did choose my name. Most, if not all, of the gladiators were given their name by the producers or directors. We were at the where were we? Universal Studios. My first year, we were in the stands, and I remember Julie Rush was there. She was a producer. Bob Bagley, a couple other directors, and nobody could come up with a name. And they were saying, "Jim, we were practicing, but we were sitting in the stands in the studio, and they were saying, well, think about yourself and what you resemble." And I just thought, well, pretty fast, pretty deadly. I like to fight. I like to do all kinds of bad stuff. I got a temper, and I just thought, what could cut through you better than anything but a laser, like a laser beam? And I said, how about laser?
That's awesome.
And
That's awesome.
they were all like, that's it, your laser. And I wanted to spell it with Lazer. I thought it was better. I signed my name that way, and they had it with an S. But I think the name suited me well. Never.
I would think so. Yeah,
Yeah, so,
absolutely.
But yeah, that was good. Great.
Yeah, I've always wondered that because I was like, there's Gemini, and like even the females, like you mentioned, Ice. Like there was a couple dudes on that show that I was like, man, he looks like an Ice. Like he had like the blonde mullet and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm like, that looks like Ice.
Right.
You know
Well,
what I
just
mean?
like Tower. How do you come up with Tower? Like it's so perfect. We're just gonna call this guy Tower.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he's a big dude. I just saw Steve out here. He's got a place. He lives in California, but him and his wife have a place here in Denver. And I saw him a couple weeks ago. He's a big boy. He's still 280. What is he, 6'4.5"? He's a big boy. Yeah. And
You guys all still jacked like that? Like you guys
he's
could
pretty
still
jacked. I
Yeah.
would say, you know who really aged well is Lori Fetrick Ice. You can look her up. She's got Instagram. She aged very well. I mean, she's in her 60s. She looks great. Very well spoken. Just and unfortunately through the years we've lost quite a few gladiators too. Billy Smith, who was Thunder, that big boy, he was 330, just ripped.
monster. Yeah.
And then we had Gold, we had Hawk. He passed away. That was unfortunate. We had Shelly Beatty, Siren. She committed suicide. It's just really sad to see some of these gladiators that are so young pass away. Really sad. Yeah.
so my next one, Jim, would be this: the one event you would do over and over and over again and have no problem with it, and the one event where they would book you for it and you'd be like, "Oh, just please don't make me do this again."
I know that one
Like,
already. So I boxed also in high school and college. I did smokers. I did those 2 1-minute round things. And my dad was a boxer, and he went to Washington State, and I had enough fights, but I loved boxing, but I loved the joust just because you're on that pedestal. And I practiced a lot with the pugil stick, and I got to be pretty darn good. But I would say the joust was my number one. Like, I loved it. I just loved it. The one game that I even told them that if I had to do it again, I was going to quit, literally, was the sky track where you were upside down.
Yes, I hated that game.
Oh, I hated
that.
They were 40. We were at Universal. I bet there were 35, 40-foot ceilings, and you're upside down. Even today, even if I put my head back like in a chair at a dentist, I get dizzy. I don't know why. Man, oh man, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do the game. I did it twice, and I just told them, I said, if I have to do it, you can fire me, because I'm not going up and then putting that thing on. But nobody liked that game. Nobody did.
yeah.
Was that
So
also?
then my follow up would be, oh my bad, Matt.
No, I was just going to ask Patty. I'm sorry. I just had to ask though. Was it also
No.
because that they had gym mats probably from Patty's school that he would land on?
Like they had no. It's just crazy the shit that they did. Like they shouldn't have even done those games. There was no safety measures. There was a few, right? But shit, we were playing Powerball on concrete and they just put one of those little pads, like holy shit, we're tackling like full pro football tackling on
pummeling people. You weren't just tackling; you were pummeling the hell out of people.
Oh shit! It was just.
Doing.
It's crazy the injuries that happen on that show. I had in the 8 years I was on the show, I had 8 surgeries, mostly shoulder operations, and I've had numerous operations post the Gladiators because of all the crap that happened. But man, oh man, you talk about injuries on that show, and they never portrayed. They never wanted to show it on. They showed a few, like on the camera. There. Turbo blew his knee out. Oh God, just absolutely gross. They did briefly show him getting hit, but they didn't want to dishearten the people trying out, and they wanted it to be more Hollywoodish. It was far from Hollywoodish. Nobody gave up. Nobody had it registered in terms of who was going to win, who was going to lose. All of us were so competitive. And when you got millions of people watching you, the last thing you want to be or known is that you know what, and you're going to lose. And there's a lot at stake. And all of us gladiators would probably, myself really would, kind of measure up the win-loss records of who won, who lost. And you never wanted to lose, ever, ever, never.
So were the games, like my question would be a more behind the scenes thing, were the games mostly designed by producers, or would you guys as gladiators ever sit back and say, hey, it'd be really cool if we did a game where, we did this and, whatever?
Great questions, guys. No one's ever asked that either. All those games were put together by producers, directors, coordinators in the off season. There may have been, when they came out with a new game, they may have tweaked it based on kind of some of our feedback. But no, whatever games they came up with, you just did it and got paid and dealt with it.
What was your reaction to the hamster ball?
Shit, I love that. That was actually fun. That was
what was
fun.
that? Atmosphere or something like that? Is that what it's called? Yeah,
that was fun, man. When they finally came up off the ramp, and we figured out how to really roll that ball because you had to get up high on the ball. Shit, you got to be pretty good at it. And man, those collisions, TV never did the game justice because they had the cameraman running around with the camera, but the collisions never did justice because you couldn't. I don't know. They couldn't resemble the hits with the atmosphere. I don't know. It just never looked that great on TV, but it was a lot better in person. That's for sure.
Yeah, it almost was like as soon as somebody got hit, they peered off to the other person, right?
Yeah,
it was like, man, and then when he looked back at the other guy's laying on the ground in a sphere, like he couldn't get back up.
Yeah,
you're like something just happened there, guys, and we missed it.
But I got to tell you, the one game, the pyramid. I don't know if you remember the pyramid. There was those big bags, and then you got the. Where they had the two contenders at the top and then the gladiators down below. And I got to tell you, you talk about, and that's another game that the cameras never did it justified because I got to tell you the steepness, the angle, if you went from the top and you pulled that guy down, holy shit, you're 2.5, 3 stories high. Like, oh my God, you're going. I mean, it
didn't look like that on TV.
No, it didn't. It was unbelievable. Yeah. So,
was it as cool in real life I'm going to butcher because I don't remember the name of the game, but to shoot that like tennis ball gun? Because that always looked like the coolest thing on TV. I remember that being like, oh my God, I want to put that in my backyard in my window and shoot at my friends while they run around an obstacle course.
Yeah, those balls are just, they were flying about 105 miles an hour coming out of that gun, and the gun got better every year because they figured out I don't know what do they use, nitrogen or whatever it is, and oh my God, those balls were just freaking flying, man, it was crazy. Yeah, that was awesome. Fun. It was kind of a boring game because you're just standing up there, but man, the last 2 years of that game, they had those balls just coming out of that cannon like it was nothing. Yeah.
How did they pick who did what event? Did you guys just pick a name out of a hat, or was it specified to your strengths?
I think I was pretty good at the joust and Powerball and the conquer ring, so I think they took some of the really good contenders and they matched them up against gladiators that were better at some of the events. But really, it was kind of random. I don't know how they did it. I think they decided, before each show started, this is, kind of where you would play out in each event. I don't know how they did it, but yeah.
Now, Jim, we've gotten to know you a little bit, and you said how competitive you are. Do you remember your record as a gladiator?
I don't. But
I know you obviously have won more than you lost. But is there a game that you felt like you were undefeated in? Like joust, obviously you were a badass at.
Yeah, the joust, I think I only lost. And if I did lose, it wasn't because someone beat me. It's because I swung too hard and I just got off balance and
stepped on their platform or
got
something
on their
like
platform.
That,
something. But I joust in the 7 years. I think I only lost a couple times, and that was not because someone beat me. But yeah, it was just that competitive nature. It's just I don't know, just something.
Well, and piggybacking on what Patty had mentioned too, did you guys have like an internal competition between yourselves of who was going to win more that week? And like, was there like you
Yeah.
see Rick's championship belt that he has
Yeah, I
over
love
his
that.
shoulder? Did you
Yeah,
guys have
baby.
like a
I love it.
title that you would have week after
I,
week of like, hey, I went 5-0 this week, you lost twice,
I
or
think
something
we
like
did
that?
internally. I think we did keep. I know I did, and I think Turbo did. Turbo, I think of all the gladiators that came through, because we had, people that got hurt and had people fill in. I would have to say Turbo was probably and he was one of the only male gladiators that never went on and played professional football. All of us played some professional football, but he was probably the most well-rounded athlete and mentally tough guy I've ever met. Like that guy was an animal, man. And he was just a different dude. Like he never had a lot of friends. He would not fraternize with the contenders or even the gladiators. He was always off on his own. If he got injured, nobody would know about it. He was just and he's been that way even when the show ended. I think I've talked to him once in 30 years since the show ended. He's just a different guy. Yeah, but he was one hell of an athlete, that guy. He really was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
awesome.
my next question is this: is like, obviously there's a lot of competitors, and you guys definitely weren't phased out by the competitors. But can you think of a guy that came on the show, or even a girl that came on the show, and you were like, "Holy crap, that dude is a serious like." He could be one of us the way he competes with us. Like, was
Yeah.
there ever that moment for you?
Yeah, there was probably a couple. There was Eldon Kidd. He was that big white dude, man. He was like 6'3", 240. Like,
That was
he's
indeed
bigger than
everybody in the
us.
balls.
Yeah, and it's like there was Lucian Anderson. So Lucian Anderson, him and I, there's a the Conquer ring, the wrestling, and him and I got into it, and he ripped my shirt off, and I came down on him and I grabbed his neck, and he got up, and boy, we went after each other, man. It was one of those. It was tough. It was almost it was a fight, man. And him and I never liked each other. It just no way. But there was a few contenders they were badasses, man. You think of 20,000 people that you can have the best of the best. Think of this, that there were so many bodybuilders and guys that looked muscular trying out for the show, but they wanted true, like well-rounded athletes like studs, man. When you think about the contenders, they didn't want contenders usually over 205, 210. Now you're getting two big guys just going to get hurt, right? But when you're an athlete, you could be 170 pounds, and your force power and your strength, you could be stronger than a guy that's 240. So it doesn't really matter at the end of the day. If you're a hell of an athlete, your strength based on your weight, it's almost as equal, if not better, than someone's 240 or 250. So these athletes, was it fair? I think it was very fair. It wasn't about power or strength. It was really all the events were. If you take like Hang Tough, you got to be a pretty dang good athlete to know how to, use those rings and momentum and all of that. And it wasn't just about power and beating the shit out of somebody. It was being a real athlete. So
yeah,
That's
you guys
just an
are just
added bonus,
you guys
right?
were just lucky that I wasn't born. I was only like 2 years old at the time, so I
You're
couldn't
very
compete at
lucky.
the time. So you slipped on that one, Jim. I would have given you a good fight.
I love it.
Boys, I have to apologize because before we get into Matt Libs, I don't know about you, but as a parent, I feel like we put somebody in timeout and forgot he was there. Is Cody alive? Is he okay?
No, his phone disconnected. He said, I hope that Jim is wearing Kentucky blue and not Louisville red. And then he left.
Got it. Okay.
I was wondering where he
All
went.
right.
He dropped off. He'll probably join
Wellness chat. Last I saw, he was on a tractor, then he disappeared. I don't know. But
Yeah.
Cody, if you're out there,
The chores
Wallace.
never end in Kentucky.
Maybe he
Come
might
on.
fall back in. Who knows?
no. But with that wellness check complete, that means that it is now time for one of my favorite segments. Patty, you are very good at helping introduce this. I know you know what time it is.
Matt Libs, baby.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So, content manager, if you will, please cue the music. Oh, this one. That's gonna come back and haunt somebody. No, they're quick. They're quick. Easy one goes bye-bye. We're back. Hey, there you go. Look at that. That's how it goes. You did TV, Jim. You know how this goes. Come on.
I know how it goes. Yeah.
All right. So this is where I get to hit you some of the hard-hitting questions that, just kind of curious to hear your answers, sir.
Yeah, let's hear it. Let's do it.
With that said, all right, I'm going to start with an easy one. So obviously you guys were rock stars in the, late 80s, 90s. And during that time also was kind of the resurgence and explosion of wrestling.
Yeah.
Who also was rock and roll and drugs and all this other good stuff. How often did you guys run into each other or collaborate, see each other or not?
Well, I got to tell you an interesting story. So McMahon approached Steve Henneberry, who was Tower, and myself to be the next tag team champions. Steve wanted to do it. I did not because, and I'll be honest, I mean, wrestling, those guys are studs. I mean, for what you guys do in terms of your athletic ability and you take a beating, I mean, you guys are just animals. I didn't want to be put in a position to have someone tell me whether I'm going to lose or win, right? And there's something in my brain when that whistle blows, football, wrestling, whatever sport I did, I turn into a different dude. As soon as it's over, I'm like, yeah, I'll shake your hand. But in it, man, I don't even remember. I almost black out because I can't remember. Even watching game film in football, I'd be like, shit, I did that. I couldn't remember the game because I was so intense. Like my body, I don't know, just weird stuff happens. But yeah, I don't know, just different.
That was an amazing answer that I'll be honest, I had no idea was coming. So that is very interesting. But again, your answer is as thorough as it gets, because I know as an athlete, as a veteran, it's like when that switch is on, it's on.
It's on.
And
yeah. And
you can't tell somebody how to turn a switch in their rat brain on and off. That does not work.
You can't do it. Yeah. Yeah. It's just something that happens. And anyhow. Oh, there he is.
All right,
hey, Cody, you're back. He is not driving. He is not driving.
You're alive. I thought you were just really behaving in timeout, Cody.
We were worried about you. We were worried.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
We were going to stop the show. We were going to like, hey, Cody's not here. We got to just stop.
Since you bailed out, you have to fight Jim in the joust.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Cody, this is the first time, because this is the first time I've had someone parachute into the middle of Matt Libs. But I'm going to give you a chance to ask at least one question of your own if you want.
Well, what I was going to ask is, you was talking about being it was like being a rock star. What would probably be like the coolest situation being a gladiator got you into? Like, oh, it's Gladiator, let him in, or it could have been a party.
Yeah, that. God, you guys have the best questions. Two things that come to mind. I haven't thought of this in 30 years. So we were in Niagara Falls and we were doing a personal appearance, signing autographs. It was myself, Ice, and I think it was Zap, the two girls and myself. And someone in the crowd said, hey, I have a helicopter tour. I don't know what you call those things, like a tour helicopter. I'll give you guys a free ride. We're like, seriously? So we followed this guy 45 minutes outside where we were, and he took us up on his helicopter, and we went over the Niagara Falls and all that. That was just like,
wow.
Like, could that have ever happened if I was just Jim? Like, hey, I'm just Jim off the street. Like, right? I just thought that was really cool, right? I thought that was really neat. There was another situation. What was the other one? Oh, so Dan Clark, who's a womanizer, cocky shit. He's as cocky as ever. So we're downtown LA and we're partying. And back in the day, these nightclubs, you had to wait in line. That was the big thing. You wait in line, wait for hours, right? So we're back in the line about a mile, and someone recognized us. Hey, there's the Gladiators. So the bouncer, I'm literally, we're a half a mile back. We're thinking, are we ever going to get in this club? So he comes and gets us, and we get into the club. We had the best time. We had drinks for free. And I thought, this is freaking cool, man. It was just so cool to think.
Wow.
Because we never put ourselves in thinking we're rock stars, right? I never thought like that. But being able to leverage your celebrityism, I guess, that was kind of cool. I thought that was pretty neat. I don't know. Pretty cool.
Yep. I mean, Laser gets free helicopter rides. Jim is probably getting kidnapped in that situation, but
I mean, he's jacked. He's not getting kidnapped in any way, shape, or form.
No,
Are you kidding
no.
me?
no, not at all.
Funny.
So Jim, I know you said that you kind of blacked out there when you would play football,
Yeah.
but I'm going to need you to tap in your memory here. So give me the craziest football play or moment that you maybe watched, didn't experience, weren't a part of, but you watched. And it could be from Pee Wee all the way up through the pros.
Something I was involved in?
Either or, just like something that in football, you were just like, wow.
I think my highlight when I was with the Chiefs, I sacked Kenny Stabler, the snake.
Ooh.
I thought that was
Nice.
kind of cool. So let's see. Nothing in the pros, because I got hurt with every damn team I played with. Gee whiz, it's like unbelievable. So ended my career, but I'd say college. I was a tailback in high school. They recruited me as a fullback. I started as a fullback at Montana State for the first 2 years, and then we had a coach come in, and he saw my mentality during winter conditioning, and he says, "Jim, I know you want to play in the NFL. You don't have the wheels. you run a 4.55, 4.6, but you don't have the wheels. Why don't we train?" He says, "Your mentality, you just want to kill people. Like you just want to eat them up. Why don't we change you to linebacker?" And man, I excelled. It was just like, man, that I should have been playing linebacker since I was in 7th grade. And I broke all kinds of records, and still have a school record of 202 tackles in a season, 32 in a game. And it just, I wish I had more playing experience, because I think I probably would have been a high draft choice. And unfortunately, when I grew up in the 80s, most linebackers in the NFL were over 6'2", 6'3", 6'4". You would very rarely see a linebacker that was 5'11", 6 foot ever. And I was only 5'11 and 3/4, 5'11 and a half, 230. But that hurt my ability to get drafted because of my size alone. But when I went with the Kansas City Chiefs, I actually, for everything that I had to be involved in terms of, the 225, you do the bench, the 1.5 mile run, the 40-yard, the shuttle. I had the number one score out of every linebacker, and I think there was 12 of us when we started, at training camp, and I had the best runs and the score out of everyone, because I gave myself a promise in college. I said, if anyone was ever to beat me out, it wasn't because they out-trained me, and I made a vow to myself that I was going to train my ass off. That if someone was to beat me out, it was just they were a better athlete, or it came down to politics. And I made sure that happened. And I look back on it, and I have no regrets, because I did whatever it took to be the best of the best. And unfortunately, it just didn't work out. Injuries and things caught up to me. But thankfully, the Gladiators was there, and it took the helm of being an athlete for at least 7 years.
Can we just go back real quick? You said 32 tackles in a game.
Yeah,
32 in a game.
that.
Yeah.
Patty's a football coach. Patty, 32 tackles in a game?
Yeah.
I mean, that's and you said you did that at the collegiate level, right?
That was collegiate level, and then I've had a few.
That's
I had
unbelievable.
28 in one game, 29 in another. And my senior year,
Jesus.
I
Did you
ended
let
up-
anybody else tackle them?
Yeah, I don't
Or
know.
were you just the only one?
I guess I was in my senior year. I would have beat that record because I missed 4 games with an ankle injury, and I ended up at 178 tackles my senior year.
That's crazy.
So I would have blew that
So
202 out of the record.
as a defensive-minded football player, was Rudy offsides or was he onside?
I love it. I love it.
Friggin' Patty.
That's a good one, Patty. I love it. This has
Was
been
he?
Great.
Was he
He did not
offsides?
answer the question. He did not answer the
He
question.
did not
Okay,
answer. He
okay.
did not answer.
Neither A nor B. All right.
That's right.
Final question, Jim. Now, again, we try to treat it like a sitcom in the 90s. So we're,
Okay.
lots of laughs. This is the part, though, where we kind of get a little serious and then we have fun at the end and we get the hell out of here. So
right.
I know from your major injury in football that one of the biggest things that you lost was your voice for 5 months.
I did.
So my question to you is, what is the biggest thing that you learned about yourself? And what's the biggest thing you learned about others in that 5 month span?
Boy, that's a good one, because it was a dark time in my life. It was, when you have something that you've worked for your entire life and it's taken away just like in a snap. Man, oh man, you talk about some dark times. There was some not good. You wake up thinking, is this my life? You don't know. You don't even know if you wanted to live. I think, it took 3 years to heal up from that injury. I did lose my voice for about 4.5 months, somewhere in there. Crushed my larynx. All kinds of stuff happened. It was a terrible injury. And I think what it taught me was, when you're in a situation or any situation, to take full advantage of it, because you don't know when it's going to be taken away. And to do your very best at all times, And we talked earlier about taking in the moment, right? Man, I didn't take in the moment when I played football. I just wanted to play. I didn't appreciate what I was doing. And after those 3 years and going through I was depressed, really depressed. And I don't know why I'm even here today, to be honest, because it was that dark of a time. I think I just started to appreciate, the things I did in life, and to counterbalance it a little bit more. That's a really good question. No one's ever asked me that. I'd have to even think more about that. But thank you for that question. That's a good question.
Of course. And thank you for answering. I appreciate it. Well, you survived Matt Libs. That's it.
Yeah.
See, wasn't so bad.
Wasn't
right?
so bad. Yeah.
No. I just, again, I'm still astonished that the man who, played football was you got demolished in football, and then you're tackling guys on concrete and you did it the entire time.
Yeah.
How?
I don't know. There were so many injuries. Oh my gosh. I mean, there's days I wake up, boy, do I feel old. I mean, I really do. If it wasn't, and I need to go to the gym every day, and I don't do it to be, like arrogance and things like that. I do it because if I don't feel good. Like I literally, like my back is bad. My shoulders, I've had 14 shoulder operations. And it's just, if I don't go, I get depressed. Like I really feel my body doesn't feel good mentally, the acuity, all of it is just, it plays a role. And it's, I've been going to the gym since I was 7th grade, and it's never stopped. The only time I've ever stopped is through maybe a vacation here or there, or surgeries, where you have to heal up. But yeah, I just try to do the best I can,
Well, Jim, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Thank
You
you.
were an absolute
All of you.
fabulous guest.
Yeah, you guys are awesome.
Great answers.
You're a treasure.
Loved it. Yep. And again, you are one of the original combatants when it comes to sports in any category, as far as I'm concerned.
I
So
appreciate it, Rick.
holding the
Yeah,
title.
thanks, guys. I really appreciate all of you. I thank you for inviting me to your show, and looking forward to watching it. And I appreciate all of you. Thank you.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Jim.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are the Clashing Conferences. Again, if you are interested in joining us, we are looking to have you join us. So hit us up. We are on all the major platforms. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. We're on iTunes. You just have to tell me what we're not on, and I think it would make this part of the show easier.
MySpace.
So, with that said, come join us. We're like NWO. We're just getting bigger and bigger. You know what I
There
mean?
you go.
So come join us. I don't have my pillow, but it's about that time for that dumb. So thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.
Awesome.
Take care. Boom, boom, boom.